welcome to another night of the Smoke and Mirrors Radio Hour. I'm Jay Weidner, and you're listening to one of the more intelligent shows on the air. I want to remind you all that my new film Infinity is out. If you'd like to get more information on that, you can go to our website, either at jayweidner.com or at sacredmysteries.com. And let's see here. We have a good guest tonight, somebody I've been wanting to talk to for a long time, so I'm just going to cut short all my talk and go straight to him. We got Timothy Beckley, UFO and paranormal pioneer, on tonight, and I think I've read about 15 of his books.
Oh, my goodness.
That made a major influence on my life, and I didn't even realize I'd read that they were his books, a lot of them. And so I guess I have you to blame for me, I guess, Timothy.
Well, my goodness. Well, I guess that's a good sign. Well, I hope so anyway.
Yeah. Well, you've been around the block. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I've been around the universe, I guess.
I mean, really and truly, this guy, folks, he's really, he actually, you know, was on, you were actually on Long John Nebel's show, right?
Yeah, it was, sure. Mm-hmm.
God, one of my heroes.
John was the all-night pioneer of paranormal radio.
The Art Bell of his day,
well,
really.
he was, yes. You know, I'm sure that John had they don't even deny it. I mean, George Norrie has mentioned Long John in the air. Everybody who's who in the, I guess, in UFO and a psychic, metaphysical field would have to give some sort of tribute to Long John. Although he was not, you kind of have to separate him from the host of today, because John was not necessarily a believer. He was more of a storyteller and a fence setter. He liked to get up there and stay all night and listen to these individuals who claimed that they had been to other planets. He had on the contactees. These are the people that actually started the UFO and New Age movement, if you want to call it that. They would get on his show and they would talk about their trips to other places in the solar system and beyond. People like George Damsky and George Van Tassel. There was a fellow from Arkansas who always wore overalls. That was Buck Nelson, who claimed that he and his dog Poe had been to the Mars, Moon, and Venus. And then there were others like Dan Martin and the Truman Bethram, who met Aura Raines, the lady from the planet Clarion that existed beyond the sun. The list just went on and on. One of my favorite gentlemen who I know fairly well, he just passed away a couple of months ago in his 80s, Howard Menger. Howard Menger was the best known of the East Coast contactees. Most of these contacts were taking place in and around California. Well, Howard Menger lived in the town of High Bridge, New Jersey, and Howard was a sign painter, fairly well established in the neighborhood there, very rural area. Howard had grown up in Brooklyn, New York, but I guess the parents decided they wanted to leave the big city and live a more quiet life out in the rural area. So they moved out to High Bridge when Howard was 10 years old. Now he and his brother used to play out in the pasture behind the farmhouse there, right? And on a number of occasions they'd be out playing in the back, and these silvery disc-shaped objects would come over. And when Howard was 10 years old, he claims that one of these craft actually landed in the field nearby, and he established contact with the beings on board this craft. Now, they visited him over a period, I guess of many, many years, be 30 years or more. And there were people that would come to Howard's house because they heard that these ships were landing there. And I had even talked to a number of them on the telephone who claimed that while they were in Howard's house, they'd all decide to go out back after it got dark. And there were some apple orchards back there, if I remember correctly. And they would see these lights twinkling off in the distance, sort of just right above the ground. And on a number of occasions, Howard would actually tell them to stay back, and he would approach these lights, and they'd see people getting out of the lights or conversing with Howard, and they could actually hear the voices of these people off in the distance. And Menger actually took some photographs of whoever it was that he was speaking with, and some people felt that these contacts were actually going on, and he told some pretty wild and incredible stories. I mean, he claimed he'd actually been on board these crafts. He'd actually taken a trip to the moon, where there was an established UFO base, you know. But these stories are kind of like, I don't know, I was just attracted to them. I didn't necessarily say I would believe them 100%, but I was in awe. You know, this was the time when the whole world was thinking about traveling into space. It was a novelty. It was something new. We had our own astronauts, and so it was something people hadn't heard before. You know, I mean, UFOs, of course, we know have always been around, but it was a novelty to most people, and it certainly intrigued me. So at a very young age, I would sit there under the covers with my first transistor radio, listen to Long John when I should be going to sleep and getting up early in the morning to go to school, but I rather would listen to Howard Menger and Tales of the UFO Contactees and Trips to Other Planets. And I guess that had a whopping big impact on my life, for better or worse.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think he had a big impact on a lot of people that listened to him. Now, I've seen one UFO. I saw it. I was near Vandenberg Air Force Base, and this was about maybe 7 years ago, and I was looking up, it was up in the mountains, and a beautiful starlit night, and I noticed that a star went and blinked out on me and then came back on. And so I looked really close, and I can't say I saw an object. I saw a round black thing that was blocking out the stars as it passed overhead, and it left it had a wake, it looked like, almost like a heat wave wake. But I've since thinking that maybe it was some kind of electromagnetic radiation I was seeing. I'm not sure, but anyway, I have actually seen a UFO. So what do you think they are, honestly, after all these years of looking?
Well, you know, I'm more puzzled now than I think I ever was. But you know, when we say UFO, well, basically a UFO is an unidentified object. It can be way up in the sky, you know, on the rim of the Earth's atmosphere. It could be something that chases an airplane pilot. It could be something that's at tree level, or it could be something that's on the ground. It could be something that's outside the house. It could be something sometimes that's even invades your property. UFOs, I think, are a lot of different things. You know, I think for a long time we had a tendency to believe that UFOs were these metallic spaceships from other planets. And, of course, there have been any number of reports where airplane pilots have been buzzed by these things. There have been many incidences where there have been power failures and electrical interruptions because a UFO has gotten too close, just like in the movie, you know, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. But I think UFOs are a lot of different things. Some of them could well be from outer space. Some could be from other dimensions, what we call ultra-terrestrials. Some possibly time travelers. Some are tied in with religious phenomena and mythology. So, you know, UFOs, I don't know. Each one has to be determined on its own merits. And how in the heck do you do that?
I don't know. You know, I've been reading the same stuff that you have and looking for years. You know, I've read Commander X and John Keel.
Yes.
John
Keel,
John,
of course, now passed away.
Yes,
just in June of this year, and he was a good friend of mine. I mean, we were more than just UFO, you know, people working together. We had the same interest in movies, and so we socialized quite a bit, you know. And of course, he wrote quite a bit about what he felt were beings that were coming over from some other reality or from some other dimension. He did not see UFOs as being, you know, solid physical craft from somewhere else. He's probably best known for the book, The Mothman Prophecies,